The Buffalo Bills seem to be in free fall mode. They're now 10th in the AFC when it comes to making it into the playoffs. And you look at that game against the Philadelphia Eagles and the way they lost that game, the fact that their offense wasn't the reason why they lost, even though you had that miscommunication between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, the defense didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And once again, this is another big game that Buffalo loses that comes down to one possession. They're 2-6 in one possession games this year. And this defense just folded like sandpaper in the biggest moments when they needed them to step up the most. And what's even more embarrassing is that this is another instance this season when you got a defensive-minded coach in Sean McDermott, and when his defense needs to get a stop to win the game, they aren't able to get it done. You remember when they allowed Mac Jones to lead the Patriots to a come-from-behind victory on the game-winning drive? That's embarrassing. Even dating back to when they lost to Kansas City in overtime years ago. The defense lost that game too. Josh Allen didn't get a chance to get another opportunity with the rock in that possession because the defense didn't allow him to. Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded coach, but anytime his defense is put in a situation where it has to win the game, it doesn't get the job done. And Sean McDermott, to me, seems to be the biggest issue with the Buffalo Bills. I think it's now time for them to move on from Sean. Look, he's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. This dude wins over 60% of his games. He's definitely going to get another head coaching opportunity. But his time in Buffalo, it's over. The Bills have peaked under him as their head coach. Ever since they lost to Kansas City, they haven't been able to reach that same level of success. You sign Von Miller in free agency. He hasn't been what you hoped him to be. Yeah, you got a really good defense, but when it's time for your defense to execute in big moments against good teams, they fold. And if you're a defensive-minded coach and this continues to happen, you can only blame turnovers. You can only blame your offensive coordinator so much until you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're the problem. And it's funny because he got rid of Leslie Frazier. They say Leslie Frazier stepped down, but let's be honest, he most likely fired Leslie Frazier. He was scapegoated when Sean McDermott really is the problem. You see, not every head coach is built to get every team that they coach with to the Super Bowl. Andy Reid was with Philadelphia for hell of years, and he got fired. He wasn't able to win them a Super Bowl. There are plenty of good coaches that weren't able to get it done despite having success with their first team. Tony Dungy, same situation with him. The NFL has seemed to trend to an offensive direction, and that's probably where the Buffalo Bills need to head if they were to part ways with Sean McDermott. The defense doesn't come through in the big moments. Maybe you get an offensive-minded coach who can hire a good defensive coordinator, and that would change. Maybe it comes down to situations when the offense has an opportunity to win the football game. Sean McDermott is a really good coach, but his time with Buffalo has expired. And the longer you hold on to this guy, the longer you're going to continue to get the same results. Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, even with all his turnovers. This dude played an incredible game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But in the fourth quarter, this team just fell apart. And you can't blame Joe Brady. You can't blame the offensive coordinator. The defense is to blame. And there has been way too many times throughout Sean McDermott's tenure with the Bills over the last couple of seasons when this defense wasn't able to get it done. You see, if it comes down to who needs to go, Josh Allen or Sean McDermott, nobody's finna get rid of Josh Allen. You're going to get rid of Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott can find employment elsewhere. Maybe he wins a Super Bowl with another team, but he just doesn't have the code to getting the Bills over the hump. You know, this is eerily similar to the way that Cincinnati Bengals game kind of went. You see, Buffalo wasn't able to stop Joe Burrow, and Bills fans got mad at me because I say that the Buffalo Bills keep getting embarrassed by Joe Burrow, when it's like Sean McDermott's defense got carved up by Joe Burrow when they played a couple of weeks ago on Sunday night, and it got carved up in the playoffs last season. You see, this dude is a really solid coach, but I just don't think that he's the right guy to get the Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl. And it's crazy because he's built this franchise up. At one point, the Bills, they were one of the biggest laughing stocks in the NFL. There was a point when you could always count on Buffalo never making it to the playoffs. They had one of the longest postseason droughts in sports. And he changed that culture. He changed this franchise around. But it's gotten to a point where, yeah, you may build this thing up, but now you need somebody else who can come in and find a way to take it to the next level. You ever been in a relationship and then you end up breaking up and the person that you was in a relationship with ends up doing all the things that they never did for you in their other relationship? It's crazy how sometimes you can build somebody up to be better for the next person. And for the Buffalo Bills, I think that Sean McDermott has built this team up to the best of his ability, but he isn't able to figure out the missing puzzle piece to getting the Bills a Lombardi trophy. And now it's time to find another head coach who may have the answer to the code. The biggest problem with Buffalo right now is that Sean McDermott, he just isn't it as a head coach. And when you look at how tough the Buffalo Bills schedule is, you got to play the Chiefs. I mean, you got to play the Cowboys. There's no way they're going to be able to make it to the playoffs this year if they lose another game. 10-7 is not good enough to get you in the playoffs in the AFC this year. To make it into the postseason in the AFC conference, you need to win at least 11 games. That's how competitive this conference has been this season. And the Bills shot themselves in the foot when they gave their win away against the Denver Broncos with all those turnovers, all those self-imposed mistakes. They allowed Mac Jones to beat them. Sean McDermott, man, he's the problem with the Buffalo Bills. It's not Josh Allen. Yeah, he's had a lot of turnover-ridden games, but at the same time, he still is the reason why you have a shot at winning the Super Bowl every year. And with his turnover struggles, doesn't that give you more reason to get another head coach that specializes in the offensive side of the football? Sean McDermott doesn't know what the hell to do to solve Josh Allen's turnover issues. And obviously, he doesn't know how to solve his issues on defense because they continue to fall apart in big moments and crucial games and big time moments.